Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, July 7th, 2026. You're listening to a little column A, little column B, hosted by Will Alimonos and hosted by Zach Bishop. How are we doing today, buddy?
What is going on, Will? We might have a concern in the animal kingdom. It turns out giraffes might be able to do a little bit of math. Now, remember, giraffes, tallest animal that we have in the world. We're talking 18 feet. I mean, at the start, you'll be able to do a little bit of math. I mean, tools can't be far behind. Are you concerned that the tallest animals also might be getting smarter?
I think this is going to lead to the Celtics just saving more money. Maybe we should hire a giraffe. The real evolution here. They're learning math.
Do you think
this is
giraffes
analytics.
would be able to figure out this kind of math?
I'm not sure I can figure out this kind of math. I think they might have just as much of a shot. I mean, the entire league is spoken, Zach, and maybe Giraffe can explain it to me, but no one values Jaylen Brown. Nobody.
Not a single person. It's one thing when you have the Luka trade and everybody, when they see it, goes, yep, terrible trade. Have no idea what Dallas was doing. Why would you only go to one source? Why would you not go to all the sources? This is a totally different situation where at least the similarity is, this is a terrible trade. Why would Boston have done this? But then you go and they say, we reached out to a whole bunch of people. That was very, very clear. I don't think that Brad Stevens is an idiot. So it comes down to either it was some sort of whole league conspiracy, or this is really what it was. And I am open to the fact that I am more biased, towards Jaylen Brown than maybe the average person, or maybe even the average Celtics fan. But I'm still seeing what happened immediately before and now even afterwards, and I have not gotten a justifiable answer. Brad and Chisholm came on; they had open media, and their answers they were unsatisfactory. Were any of the answers has anyone been able to clear this up for you?
Well, I want the title to be optionality of the podcast, right? Isn't that the word? Is that the word of the day? Isn't that what we're learning today? The Celtics have optionality now. I don't know what banner you can hang with that. No, we don't. We don't. But I understand why we did the deal now. I understand. I think we were fully committed that we weren't going to be able to give the extension to Jaylen, and that this wasn't going to work, that this team was ultimately a first-round exit, and that the best thing to do was to get some picks, take Paul George, hope for the best, know that it's only going to be 2 years, and maybe use these picks to add one more thing. I think the league is trying, or at least encouraging with all of these contracts, to say, hey, can you put together 4 Derek White type guys? Because those are the contracts you have to have. And that if you're doing anything more than that, which sounds so counterintuitive, is like, well, what if you had someone better than Derek White? It's like, oh, no. You couldn't do that. You can't afford it. I think that's where we're at right now, where it is such a bad incentive to pay these 2 guys this much money that we are now, no one else wants them because they already all got their guy. It's like it's the bad B guy, the bad B player that you don't want to add for the contract. That's one of the top 5 in the league.
But this is where I gotta jump in by, he is not the bad B guy. I mean, he was the number 1 this year. And if you're going to nitpick the analytics, I feel like that part, you're nitpicking the, in quotes, off the court issues, which we've spoke about. It was much more of, hey man, I just wish you weren't so whiny, after losing. It was that. It wasn't, there's a lot of other situations where there's an actual concern here. I didn't have any actual concern with Jaylen Brown going on his Twitch streams. It was just more of, it sounded like complete loser talk, is saying Bede's a flopper. I would have preferred, you just complained about that privately, which I'm sure everybody's doing in all of the sports. But this isn't he is drastically, he was in the mix for MVP. He was second team All NBA. Like, this seems like the type of guy that you would pay the money for.
And yet we were still a first round exit with this guy.
So what is your solution? You keep bringing this up over and over again. We did not have a full team, and we can base it off of 1 week of the year. But I think if we're going to do that going forward, if teams are going to do that, it's going to lead to way more bad decisions than good decisions.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, we lost to the Knicks. I know Tatum, tears his ACL, but we were going to lose that game even before he did that. Like, I think that piles on to all of this of the last couple of years of this team getting a lot of cracks at it. We got our championship, but I don't think it's going to be good enough going forward. And we're holding on to it as if this is the hope of years ago. But years ago, we had a lot of other guys on this roster. Years ago, Tatum and Brown's contract was only 44% of the whole salary cap, and now it's like 75. We had room to add Holiday and all these guys, and now we just don't. And I just don't think we were going to be good enough, and it was worth paying all those guys. And the sooner we can get off of one of them, the better. I would have liked to have gotten pieces back.
This is still so much in the future.
I don't think we're as bad as you think we are right now either. I agree that this is a downgrade in the player, but I think we will ultimately finish similar in the regular season and then be a first-round dropout in the playoffs. Like, that's just where we're at. I don't think the needle's moved that much.
So we've moved the needle zero.
We've done a lateral step, but we've gotten more picks and we've gained more flexibility, and somehow we have saved the owner more money
the flexibility?
Again. Well, I think getting these picks is a little bit easier to do additions of certain trades versus we don't need to necessarily give up a player. We didn't have any picks to give up. Now we do.
We did.
I don't think we had enough.
It always helps us have more picks, but we mentioned it on the emergency pod, but a Sixers pick next year, that's not going to be a lottery pick, so that is not that valuable. And then the other one, what was that? It was 4 years out. So I mean, that's kind of more of a mystery pick at this point.
It's too soon maybe to go full out on this take, but I think having any team's lottery pick is the same at this point. I don't think it matters. There's obviously worse teams that you would want to have, but if you're like a semi-decent franchise, I don't think the Sixers pick is any different than, I don't know, a Memphis pick. I don't think it's that different with the way the odds are right now. That it's fine. Would I like a nicer pick? Yes, but I don't think this is like a worthless pick all of a sudden just because it's Philly and then we gave him Jaylen Brown and they'll probably be good. The way the ping pong balls are going to bounce now, I don't think it's going to matter. I think this could still be a decent pick and that it'll be fine next year. It might even be better that we don't get a guy that we're going to have to pay a ton of money, maybe a guy that's a little bit older and a little later of a draft pick.
We are paying Paul George $50+ million the next 2 years. This wasn't we got rid of Jaylen, and so now we have all of this room.
Well, he is still a player.
We're paying this guy.
You have no faith in him at all as a player. You don't think there's any hope at all for this.
I'm not that I have no faith in him, but why did we make this move if it's just purely a lateral, get off of this guy, get off of Jaylen Brown's contract? If you went out and you looked around and saw, okay, the market is terrible right now, rather than just going, all right, well, this is the best I can get, just wait 6 months. Wait till the trade deadline. Just wait a month. See what happens. Get a better deal than this.
I don't think Jaylen was very cooperative.
That's where we were bringing it up on the the emergency pod, and then I thought we were going to hear more, and then Chisholm doubled down and said this was not a money move. This was strictly to improve basketball, ability. I mean, I gotta take that at face value. And like I said, I don't think that Brad is an idiot. So if this is you break things up, but to say now we have more options, I can't see it. I can't see it that this happened, but right, now you have
if we take
Paul George
picks,
for 2 years, $50+ million, which is a little bit cheaper than Jaylen. But if this was the outcome, it just seems like we've been way better off of. Okay, keep Jaylen. People are bringing up this extension. He was extension eligible. He's still under contract for 3 years. You didn't have to do that.
Well, show me the player that was happy that didn't get their extension and that the next 3 years were success and that they were able to win a championship with that looming over their heads. It just doesn't happen. There isn't an example of that.
What would be the worst case situation if the opportunity for him to get his extension and Brad said, hey, things are a little different now with the new CBA. These just don't get handed out like candy. We're not going to do it right away. What's the worst case after that? Then Jaylen says, oh, you are disrespecting me. Absolutely not. You must trade me now. Okay? Then we'll trade you then. How could it have been worse than this trade that we got right now?
I think it is. I think it did get that bad. We got an old
Paul George that they were going to have to give up at least one pick, at least one first-round pick to get off of that. And instead, I just thought, like, the Sixers, they got to be taking like a complete victory lap on this.
So you think the Sixers are a lock to win it this year then?
No.
Oh, all right. Well,
They have Joel Embiid. Who knows? Who knows which one of those guys is going to show up? But if you are doing off-season winners and you look at this and go, wait, you got off of your terrible contract that's like in the worst contracts in the league, and rather than getting a poo-poo platter back, or maybe you got something, or maybe you got like something, maybe a James Harden situation where it's like, well, he's also old and kind of not a great contract, but you maybe you could spin it. It's like, no, you got a guy in his absolute prime for basically free,
but this guy, despite being, I guess, arguably better, it's to your degree here, of better than Paul George, but not enough of a difference maker to make them a favorite in the East.
I think it has to do with the team and how the team fits together, and there's a lot more to it, and just like the huge question mark of Embiid.
I just think if Jaylen's that good, maybe we should be saying that now. He was so good for us, but yet we didn't really have the greatest success of recent with him, and now these other teams are going to be immediately successful with him. I don't think he's as much of a difference maker as you're arguing. I think he is better than Paul George, but I don't think it moves the needle as far as you want, and I think it costs a lot more money. You're going to have to pay a lot longer, and you're going to have this contract extension looming over that it sounds like he's going to want. I mean, I think we already did this deal because he didn't want to do an extension with certain teams, and I think other teams heard that or knew that or were at least informed that by someone, because that's how this deal ended up falling in our laps. It basically did come down to him saying, just get me the hell out of here, and I'm only going to go somewhere certain, and this is one of the places.
But this is different than other situations. He is under contract for 3 years. So even if he is very upfront and says, I do not intend right now to sign the extension. Okay, cool. We still get you for 3 years of your prime. And then you know what? Then you could be somebody else's problem when you're 32 and then figuring that part out. But for right now, it seems like, and it seems to be trending much more to the direction that you're going in. The Sixers odds, improved, but they're not the favorite to win in the East. They're not even in the, in the top two. That's what all the analytics, or not all the analytics, but the analytics were saying, I don't quite know, and I don't know if that leads into of this is what the return for him was. So I think it is much more likely that you're going to look at a Sixers team that is playing well with Jaylen Brown on it, compared to we're going to look back at this in 5 years and say, oh wow, can't believe Brad Stevens and the Celtics were able to pick this apart, from a mile away.
Nope, I don't think that at all. I think this is going to be an opportunity for everyone else on the bench as well. We just have minutes to hand out now. Paul George said he's not going to play. That's fine. Let's see what we got out of Hugo. Let's see what Sharman can do. No, I'm saying that.
You think we're not going to play him?
Well,
or you think he's not going to play?
You're saying he's going to be injured all the time. You've already put the tag on him. I'm saying there's even more minutes going to be available that Jaylen's not going to be there, and Paul George is going to be on day-to-day almost every other day. So this is how you're going to give Hugo more opportunities. You're going to give Sharman more opportunities. You're going to have these 2 picks to possibly get this Murphy guy eventually. I mean, are we just going to do the Murphy thing? What are we waiting for? They lowered the price tag from 4 first rounds to 3. I still think that's expensive, but I think at this point, if we want to really compete this year and not waste a year of Jason Tatum's time, none of these picks really make the difference. And ultimately, if you're taking those picks, aren't you just hoping to draft Trey Murphy anyways? So I would do it. I think that's the type of move that at least a win now sort of situation with what we got, and it puts us in the conversation. I wouldn't be betting on us as a favorite by any means, but right now I just think we're clearly a first-round exit until we do one more move of an addition. That can't be a subtraction one either. We can't take a loss.
You think that we're a first-round exit?
Yeah, no, I think we're exactly like we were last year. We'll be very good in the regular season. Maz will coach his ass off. We'll shoot a ton of threes, and that in the first round we'll probably get bounced.
Because that's not what the odds are saying. That's not what Vegas is saying.
Well, what they say before we got bounced? They said the same thing. So, like, did I not? Am I the only one who watched this? Like, am I the only one who's remembering how this ended? And everyone's like, "Oh, well, it shouldn't have ended that way because the odds didn't say that." This is how it ended. This is a fact that we lost.
I think
we got our ass kicked.
I think you're focused on 1 week of the season, and it's just it's too close. It's obviously the most important part of the season, but I don't think that is what should be the focus of, and I don't think that's really why these changes happen. But I would be disappointed if this is the team that we have. If we get bounced in the first round, I'll be disappointed.
I think I'm more scarred from the battles of the finals of how physical it was. This team is nowhere near built for that, even right now.
There's a big chasm between finals and first round exit. There's a lot of wiggle room in there, and that's where if I'm not expecting to win the finals, but that's if we're a first round exit again, I'll be disappointed because I think that with this or with the previous iteration, I was saying it for since the season ended. We have the Jays back together. We move around the edges. We did some of the stuff around the edges that could have got us back to where we're contenders, but we decided we were going another direction. But I still don't think that we're a first round exit.
I think we had no chance of winning with Jaylen, and I think we have no chance of winning with what we got now. I think this is all about the season after this and the season after that.
Who is better in the East than Jason Tatum this year?
Player-wise?
Yeah.
I mean, you want like healthy, like a perfect world?
Yeah, perfect world, of course.
Perfect world.
That's where I live. I live in a fantasy world over here, Will.
I'd rather have Kawhi.
You have got to be kidding me. You want 35-year-old planting trees possible that...
Yeah, no, wow. I would.
Wow. Okay. I just... when was the last time he's been on an all-NBA team?
I thought he was pretty good last year. Was he not good last year? Did Tatum play last year? No. All right. He was. So I think, what are we making up here?
Tatum had a super serious injury where I'm not looking for last year specifically. I'm talking about this upcoming season. Okay. All right. I asked you the question. You gave me an answer.
The most recent.
Kawhi at 1. We have Kawhi at 1. I thought Giannis was right there for the taking, and that was fine. Jaylen's still in the mix. There are a lot of other directions I thought you could go, but okay. Kawhi Leonard.
All right. Well, Giannis, did he play last year? No. Tatum, did he play last year? No. Kawhi played. All right. Do you want me to run down the list of the guys here? Like, I mean, I know historically the trend on Kawhi is that he doesn't play, but the other guys didn't play, and you want me to put him over there and bump Kawhi for the same reason? Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Are you just going to take Halliburton off the list because he also had a season-ending injury?
I can't wait and see at least a little bit of stuff. I do think Indiana will be better in the Celtics this year. Man, this is really turning some purge take. You're not going to like any of this. Yeah, no, I think Indiana's better in Boston right now.
Okay. All right. So now if you're putting Kawhi up there, okay, how many guys this upcoming year in the East are going to be better than Jason Tatum?
In the East?
Yes.
I think Giannis is still better.
Okay, so that's 2.
I'm trying to think of how many other guys have gotten bumped over here. Any rookies? No, probably not. I mean, Brunson's an interesting one where I don't know if I necessarily would take him over that, but again, he won everything last year, so I think you kind of have to. If there was a moment that you would take him, this would be it. So I'll put Brunson ahead of him. I would not put Cade. I think I would still take Tatum over Cade. I would put Donovan Mitchell. I would put Tatum ahead of Donovan Mitchell, even though he got a huge payday today. I would put Tatum ahead of Cat. And I think
this is much more closer to what I expected. I think the Kawhi one just came out of nowhere.
Well, he played last year. If there was ever going to be a good Kawhi season, I know there is so much off the court stuff that you can't ignore. All right, it is totally a good flaw of why you shouldn't argue this. But on the court stuff, that was as good of a Kawhi season as you were going to get, was it not? More games he's played than any of the last couple.
Sure, if that's the bar.
But he wasn't good then when he played? I thought he was good.
No, he was fine when he played. He played for a bad Clippers team, and yeah, for him, 65 games, that's I think as best as you can get. But at 35, I don't think you're gonna expect a upward trajectory there.
All right, so you have Tatum at 1. Did you rank anyone else, or is it like Tatum 2 and Tatum 3 and Tatum 4?
No, I haven't. I didn't rank it. It was just I think that there's a better probability that Tatum will be the best player in the East than not the best player in the East.
We'll see. He'll have an opportunity to. I mean, he'll be the best player on this team. No one's going to argue that. But Jaylen's in the past kind of all-star teams of the Celtics with all these other players. I thought it was kind of a weakness almost of how good Jaylen and Tatum were playing during that. But we'll see. I think you'll have good odds.
You don't love going about it this way, but I'm trying to try to stick to some math, and we're talking about future things, and so if we just go off of MVP odds, the first 4 are in the West. Giannis is at 12-1, and then Tatum's at 20-1. So he's at 7th, but second best in the East.
Do you think there's any scenario where being the best player in the East is enough to win MVP? Because I don't I don't think it's going to happen.
No. The argument for me wasn't that he was going to be in the MVP conversation. I'm just trying to keep it in the the East. It's like if you have the best. This is more of a like kind of the Simmons playoff argument of if you have the best guy in a series, you have the advantage to win the series. So I think that goes to my argument of I would be disappointed if we were a first round exit because I think we are going to have the best guy that's on the court in a playoff game.
That's a good argument. I don't know why that didn't work last year then. That's a little concerning. It wasn't his fault. I'm not blaming him. And he'll be better in this regular season. I'm not expecting an injury. I don't think he'll be like a new Kawhi Leonard of 60 games we're hoping for. I think Tatum's going to be consistent. He'll play. He's going to rebound. I think that's going to help our team the most. Not only adding Mitch Robinson to have actual physical players, keeping Kata's fine, but I think Tatum being paired up with both of those guys is going to make us a lot better of a team. On top of, you want the good.
Are you ready for my Are you ready for my Celtics spin? I didn't expect to be all this negative, but I don't really feel like I was that negative. I'm still confused by the trade. I still haven't got explained that, but found out about this trade right before I was going, on vacation. I went on vacation. I came back. I got a positive attitude. Are you ready for my breakdown of why we're going to be okay, at least for this year?
Well, do you want to hear what the things Paul George is better at? Or you want to do your thing? Go ahead. Go. You do your thing. What do you got? What is the good news? Give me the good news.
So I think this is going to go. I think this is going to go hand in hand. Got Mitchell Robinson. I think he is a little more of a gadget play, but I think Mitchell Robinson. It's easy to say he's better than Luka Garza. So boom. There's a small upgrade. Head in the right direction. I think that if you break it down, I think Jason Tatum better than Jaylen Brown. So assuming everybody's healthy, it's like, if we switched it of now Tatum's healthy, Brown's no longer there. That's an upgrade. Not a huge upgrade, I don't think, but small upgrade. All right, boom. That's a positive in the right direction. If we're comparing what we have and what we don't have, well, now that we are comparing Tatum to Jaylen rather than Paul George to Jaylen, I'm comparing Paul George to Simons. Even Paul George at his age, if you have the expectation of is he at a similar or better level, I think even at this age, I think he's better than Simons. I don't think that's crazy to say. There's another spot. Push in the right direction. Back to Vegas. We're projected for a 50-win season. That's more than it was last year. Now, we for sure exceeded expectations last year. We have the picks. Maybe there's a move that gets made at the halftime or at the trade deadline, sure. And then right now we're second to win the East, but behind the Knicks. So you put this team together, and then the last just goofy one is Patriots still do have Drake May, who is the people's MVP, and that season starts in September.
I'm not ready to talk football. Don't ever squeeze that in yet. It's July. Drake May, July? We've lost hope already? Maybe you need the boost.
Well, we have started, and we've been talking about the NBA, which starts after that. But that was my fun one. But yes, so I'm thinking Paul George better than Simons. That's the spin. And so yeah, what can you tell me on how Paul George, what's he bringing to the table that's going to be positive?
In a healthy world, which is going to be the hardest thing of all this. But I think we're getting a better ball handler. It is an interesting way of getting a better passer where I don't think he's going to drive as much, but I think he's going to take care of the ball better than Jaylen did. And ultimately, what he will turn into is just a really good spot-up shooter. And I know that doesn't sound like he can do nearly as much as what Jaylen's going to do, but sometimes that's all we need. It's just spacing. This team's going to shoot a bunch of threes, and I think he'll fit in just fine with that. I think the size is not nothing either. Paul George is not a small guy. I think there's some capability of guarding up, and I do think there's a redemption season that could be warranted here. Now, I would have bet on it happening in Philly, and then the fact that really was kind of disappointing in Philly doesn't make me super excited for, how many redemption shots are we getting here, right? We're missing a couple, and this might not be. I probably shouldn't be expecting that, but that's what I'm betting on, and that's what I think can still happen, and I wouldn't rule it out entirely. That's the only good news. That's all it is, because there's a lot of bad news, and you can get into all that, and I can't really defend it. But the little good news is that those are the small wins, is that he's not going to be like a misfit on this team. I think he's going to fit in just fine.
And that's where I think you just have to as the positive spin that, as I figured out, is just not comparing the trade part of it. Is Paul George is not going to be the number 2 on this team. Once you bump him down, and then you start thinking about it that way. What did you think about? I don't think this was officially said. So if you heard this better, you had the sources on this, but something along the lines of the thought is this will give more opportunities for Payton Pritchard, and he could make a Jalen Brunson type ascension.
That's it's like saying, is Tatum going to be Jordan this year? Like, I mean, that's crazy to me.
Yeah. When I saw like the headline on that, and like I said, I can't exactly tie that to where it was. That seemed like awfully wishful fan thinking.
Well, it's
where it's
also
like, well, yeah, that would be awesome, and the exact comparison you made of and have that for all of our players.
I was saying, are only short guys eligible for this sort of take? Is just like, do they have anything else in common? Like, is there? I don't see that. I think the ages are completely different. The time frame of it all is different. I think the situation in Dallas was a crazy opportunity for Jaylen, where Luka gets hurt and we get some really good playoff games out of Jaylen, and then he goes to the Knicks, and that changes everything. I mean, in this scenario, are you saying Payton Pritchard's going to be leaving and leading, I don't know, the new Las Vegas team to some championship eventually? Like that would be the Jaylen Brunson scenario. The scenario of getting rid of Jaylen Brown and then Pritchard turning into Jaylen Brunson that doesn't seem like any similarities of a story at all. This seems like such a stretch of a story and a crazy take.
Yeah, I'm on board with what you're saying. I think that just the way with the new the CBA, it's like they changed the rules, but we still have contracts from the previous set of rules, and it's just taking a little while for all the dust to settle. Where I say it wasn't that long ago, but now it is getting to be that long ago. Of 10, 15 years ago, it was how can we get, or maybe 15, 20 years, how can we get 3 stars together? Like that's what we're going to go to. And it seems like what the league would like is basically you have one superstar and you got to figure it out around there. And I think there's going to be a lot more teams that are going to try to load up on lottery picks just so you can do something, more like the Spurs. Obviously, Wemby is in his own category, but you have to have guys that are outplaying their contracts, and then you have to have, if you're paying a guy max money, that he's giving you max amount, and that's where for the Payton Pritchard, he is for sure every year very much outplaying his contract, and so it's again, I think that this move was not a basketball move, which is frustrating because last summer there was a lot of moves that weren't basketball moves, and I understand that's how it works, but I think teams are going to have to continue to do this, that we're going to see more trades that aren't basketball trades, that are financial trades, and that free agency is going to be much more difficult. And it's not just going to be, all right, if you're really good, you just get the max, easy. Young guy, you get the young max. Old guy, you get the big max, and let's go. I think we're going to see, like with Paul George having, the older max. I just don't think we're going to see that as often because, as you can tell, Jaylen is in his prime, and there's just no interest in that. And we saw younger guys getting that sort of money, and I'll be interested to see, something like the Lakers move is in 3 years. Does that look like a disaster?
I think the alarming landscape of the NBA, like the big change, is if you want to go back in time. Remember when players just like demanded their way out, and it was like, oh, nobody wants to stay, and then we have no way of enticing players to stay, and then we're like, all right, new thing, we're going to do the supermax. We're going to make it so if the player stays, that team can give them even more money, and that feels like that screwed everything up. Where all these players got on the hook for guys that they're supposed to keep, that the league wants them to keep, that the entire world
that the fans want.
The entire fan base wishes they could just keep. And instead it was like, all right, if you're going to keep them, it's going to be super expensive. And it's like, well, we have to keep them. Why would we not keep them? The entire history of the NBA says you keep these sort of players. And if you keep them, you got to give them the most money because that's what you do with the money. If you were going to do it for someone, it's for these sort of guys. And it just seems like it was punishing. So now I don't know how you...
I think you're right. And I think that is a unintended consequence. And I think that the NBA has, in the more recent years, been a little more knee-jerk on trying to change things. And when you change things, there are going to be unintended consequences. Part of it being, with this new CBA, as well as with the it didn't take long to adjust the lottery. And if we get some teams that just missed, but maybe there was an injury and now they get a top guy that changes the whole franchise to get added to an already good team, I could see them adjusting the lottery again. And it just seems like it's a little more knee jerk than maybe I'm ready for.
The other thing is the free agency market is terrible right now. All these teams don't want to let it get to that point, and I feel like that's why the extension is such a drama scenario where if you let it get to the offseason, I think you're at a disadvantage. So now there's like no free agents anymore because everyone's just trying to hold on to everybody. And now I don't know what you're hoping for when you got cap space. I mean, the free agency market this year was nothing. The LeBron thing kind of comes out of nowhere, but it comes out of nowhere because he's also willing to not take money. That's not going to happen every year where, hey, there's a LeBron-type player out there that's going to take the veteran minimum. Like, this free agency market's nothing. I don't know what we're saving up for the next couple of years either. Like, we're still going to have to trade for guys. It's like we're making cap space to still trade for something.
I think that at least there's a portion of it that just goes to these contracts were given out when the rules were different, and it's going to take a little while for that to settle. And then I think that free agency will change and become maybe a little more traditional.
Who's going to be the first team that just says, no, we're not doing the max thing? Like, is that happening with Duren right now? This is the team right now where this is it. This is not the scenario we're talking about.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Where it wasn't really that long ago that this was just, yep, you didn't play well in the playoffs, but you know what, young guy, yep, easy. Like, there's basically no negotiating. But now, when you look at your future and you go, all right, max is 28%, but we only think we're gonna get 26% out of you, and then you say that's only 2%. It's like, nope. But when you combine it together, that's going to be the margin, and so it's going to be not giving out and like just the negotiating skills of you can't overdo it, but then are you prepared that at some point you're going to just lose these guys for nothing?
If you're Detroit, man, what more could you've done last year? If anything, it's I want to keep Duren under any sort of scenario possible. Last year was the best we've had in so long. This year we could be even better. The idea that we're starting off the next season with this, where I mean, it seems like nobody's going to be happy with this regardless. Duren's either not going to get the money he wants, or he's going to get moved, or he's going to get less money, or Detroit's going to overpay and they're going to be upset. This seems like a no-win scenario where this should be the easiest move in the world for all the franchises and the players, being like, no, we like this guy. We drafted this guy. We want this guy to stay here. We want this to work. It seems like there's no formula where everybody wins in this, and that the battle is that you have to lose something. You don't ever get to win. And I don't know if that's how I want the teams to be built like this. Like that other team is supposed to get Duren right now.
That's the direction. That's the direction it's going into, and it's very much a spread out the players. Everybody's got 1A, or as much. There's 30, so not every guy is going to be equal, but just we're spreading out this talent. Or I'm wondering if someone goes the other way. What you mentioned of, okay, rather than going, you can't go 3 stars and then just whatever you can find around them. You can't even really do 2 max guys anymore. You could do 1 if that's your option of, do you go and try to get more of 4 Derek White level guys? And then you can have a deeper bench, because then it's like kind of the next below that, you don't have a 1A guy.
I think that's, at least that makes the most sense of how you can at least keep people. The other thing with those guys, and I think this goes underrated, is those guys are really easy to move. Other teams will take those contracts. The problem with the good guys, the max guys, they're really hard to move too. And the bullshit part about all of this is let's say Detroit decides they don't want to pay Duren and that they're going to have to move him and it's going to be some complicated sign and trade or something or whatever. What did this other team do to get Duren? They didn't do anything. The only reason they're getting Duren or having opportunity at this is because of this crazy financial problems for Detroit. Like it shouldn't be leaving for those reasons. I just don't like the direction of all the leagues here, and I think a lot of these trades reflect such a complicated battle that's got to be going on internally. Like there's a war going inside each franchise right now, talking about one side or the other. This analytics stuff is the eye test stuff, the Jaylen Brown stuff. Like it's happening in every locker room, and every GM is got to be pulling their hair out, just trying to figure out what makes the most sense. I don't know. More Derek Whites? Who are the other Derek Whites? Could you think of any off the top? Is it like Trey Murphy? Is that the other Derek White?
No, because he's younger, and I,
Caruso?
well, no, because maybe Caruso, but I feel like White's better than Caruso. But yeah, it's gonna be finding more of these middle areas to take advantage of.
Starters or guys that are eligible to be starters that you don't have to pay a lot of money. That's what you're looking for.
But then we saw today, Donovan Mitchell gets the max extension. To me, he doesn't seem like he's at the tippity top. He seems like he's more in the Jaylen area. And is Cleveland going to regret this like almost immediately?
Is anyone else ever going to come to Cleveland again? Is anyone else going to want to be of this level and stay in Cleveland? I think even his willingness to stay is like all we got to do is pay him. I think you had to, right?
I mean, I guess your argument for there could be, all right, well, you're only paying, he's the max guy there, and so I don't know what's going to happen, down the line with some of these younger guys, and that's all right, we'll figure it out then. But I think that might be the conversation that we're having is, say it's 2 years, and you got some of the younger guys that you're looking to pay, and then all of a sudden, that's all we got for Donovan Mitchell. Like he's under contract, but he's the same age as Jaylen, and now he's getting the max. So a very similar price point.
I think where their mess up isn't necessarily the Mitchell contract, although I agree where there's a similar ranking of Mitchell and Jaylen, and I think a similar kind of playoff success, I would say, where there's some real highs and some real lows. But where they messed up is they overpaid the other guys. I don't think Mitchell's overpaid on this. I think Mobley's overpaid. I think Allen's overpaid for what you're getting out of them in the playoffs. I think those are the contracts you've already sunk yourself on, and that this is just, well, we already did that. I guess we kind of have to do this. Like to say we can't afford Mitchell because we overpaid the other guys. I don't think that's a good reason to not pay Mitchell. I don't know what this does for the other guys. If anything, him getting all this money, I think they're going to move on from someone else. That's what I would be on the watch for. But they couldn't let him go. Do you think they were going to move on from this?
It just with this Jaylen trade, just trying to reset and just try to figure out, was that the anomaly and nothing's ever going to come close to that, or is this a trend and we're going to see more of this? And it's not even been a week, but seeing there was no concern by the Cavs to give him a max extension. I'm just trying to figure it out. Looking at the odds, looking at the eye test, looking at the stats, and just figure out how there was such a gap between Donovan Mitchell and Jaylen Brown.
All right, let's talk about a couple other trades here. We just touched them on our emergency podcast. The Lakers have been busy, is an understatement. I quickly just said Walker Kessler was a greater trade value than Jaylen Brown in the last podcast, just kind of jokingly, and then really kind of digesting on it and really saying, you know what, I think it really is. Like, it's significantly better. It's 4 first-round picks. It's a legit turnaround on top of giving Kessler a ton of money. Why would you do this? Like, am I missing something? Like, they had to do this? Or is this one of those things where you just never make a deal with Danny Ainge? Just don't ever make a deal with Danny Ainge. It's just taking your lunch money. How did this happen?
I think the Lakers know they need a center, and Luka's the one running the show. And I think this was hey, I want this. And you say a ton of money, but this is where it gets kind of confusing, because the max a player can earn isn't the same for everybody. Where we're talking about the max and Jaylen and making a crazy amount of money, and we're talking about, okay, this is $70 million a year, where Kessler, he's getting the max for him at his level, and we're talking about in the last year of the deal being just under 35, so half. So when you first see it, it's like, oh, max amount of money, but it's not the number. The number is different. So I could easily see this, kind of blow up in their face, but it's the Jazz, so he's been playing well for them, and just he's still young and kind of figuring out, well, was it because we were playing on a tanking team? But then on the flip side, well, once you get to play with Luka makes a lot of people look better, in this specific type of role.
I don't think I saw enough for it that I would trade that much for him, and that I would be immediately being like, all right, well, if we're going to give up that much for him, we got to give him the money. I'm not saying he's a bad player. There's certainly a scenario of playing with Luka and being worth every single penny of all this, as well as I think the market really ran out and that they were cornered into doing all of this. But
I mean, big men this offseason. I don't know if it's a Wemby thing or what, but I feel like it wasn't that long ago. It was wings, and you need wings, and you could just figure it out with big men. But I mean, it seems like every big man got paid.
All right, did Danny squeeze the Lakers here, or did he really not want to give up Kessler, and he was like, I will only do it for this? Like, was he shopping Kessler, or do you think Utah really wanted to keep him?
I think it was Danny doing the thing that he convinces you that he really doesn't want to get rid of him, so you gave him the best deal.
I mean, do you think Utah, if they don't do this deal, would have given him that contract? No, right?
I could see it. Who else are they going to pay on that team?
I don't know. I'm just saying, do you think this team is ready for that sort of contract?
That's where some of these teams, when you tank, you have the advantage of you got some young guys coming in, and it's going to be a little while. So you could pay over market value to keep someone like Kessler because the guys that are going to be the engine of your team aren't going to require that bump until later down the road. So I think they would have.
I'm just hesitant. I'm not sure if he's that guy. Like, you're sure he's that guy?
I'm not all the way sure he was playing on a tanking team. So, they got guys playing possum. They're not getting the full minutes. They're not in crunch time situations. So I think it's hard to evaluate.
I just, it's being hard to evaluate. They sure seem like they're certain about something. That was a whole lot. Oh, and that's everything too. The other ironic part is it isn't just the 4 picks, which would have stood out just in comparison of a Jaylen Brown trade. It's the rest of the Lakers picks. They don't have anything else. This is it. Any tricks that they're eligible? They
have Luka.
All right, but still, like, if you need to add things around the fringes and you're just constantly trading players, it's hard to do those contracts. I think you need picks to do the right moves, to get the Trey Murphy guys and not settle for the overpaying Walker Kesslers, in my opinion. I just, I wouldn't have done this. I don't think this team is any closer to a championship today than they were last year. And yet everything has fallen in their lap, it feels like, over the last couple of years. And this for me was like a typical 2000 New York Knicks move of like everything for Walker Kessler that nobody else was bidding for. I don't understand it. I wouldn't have done it, and I don't think they're that much better. It's just like filling a position. Like, this could have been Mitch Robinson. Why wasn't it to that? They didn't even need to give up anything for that. Is that not good enough?
I think Walker Kessler is much better than Mitchell Robinson. Like I said, I think Mitchell Robinson's a little more of a gadget player.
It's a lot of money for Kessler. All right, other trades. We didn't really touch on the Ja Morant trade. Did we touch on this? I don't think we did this one.
No.
He's going to Portland. A lot of guard play going on over there. Are they going to do another move, or do you think this is just going to be a full house for a little bit here?
I think it's going to be a full house. Figure it out at the trade deadline. Find out, hey, is there anything left here with Ja? Like, he's not that old. Can he buy in, and can we get something out of it? Or you find out, ooh, nope, we'd rather play, Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday is doing much more, and yep, we took a low risk swing at this, and this is not working. And it might even not even be a trade. I mean, it might be a Memphis situation of, all right, nope, this didn't work, and you were just going to sit on the bench, and yep, and his career's over.
I'd like it for Memphis as a return. Jeremy Grant is fine, I think, for what that team is. I think it's very similar to Portland. Unfortunately for him, I don't think he really upgraded his situation where he's just like, all right, I guess I'm just still getting this money and playing on these sort of teams. But I think for what you're going to get out of Morant and for what the other pieces that Memphis has going forward right now, that this is just clearing a path and giving them an opportunity that I think is justified. Portland, though, seemed like they were already on that path. And while I think this is certainly great value where you dumped a contract and you certainly get a potential of a guy back, but you also might just, like, is there any scenario where Judge just messes all this up? Because this was kind of a good story last year. I know we got El Cheapo, the owner, and we got another coach, and the Billups thing is hopefully a thing of the past, but like, why did Portland feel the need to take a swing like this?
I think it was just the opportunity, like I just mentioned, of if you can get, anything close to prime Ja Morant, I mean, that's going to be fun. That's going to get people, into seats. They didn't give up any picks. It just, Jeremy Grant, I don't feel like there was really much there. And sure, kind of a fun story last year. If you take away your coach is arrested by the FBI the first game in. So the expectations were low, and they've been bad. So just being not bad, but it's not like they're a contender. So you got to do something to get yourself to that next level.
Maybe. I just think that this extension thing's going to come up with Morant, and they're going to be like, nah, we really don't want this, and it's just going to let it go anyways, and we'll see. I have no idea what Morant's future is, though.
So what's the worst thing that happens is that so he plays well, demands an extension, and then even if he walks, it's like, all we gave up was Jeremy Grant for you, and we got you for 2 years. And that's on like the better side of, not that you had to waive and or like stretch them or do anything. And I like I said, I think that these GMs are going to be negotiating a lot harder, and it's not just going to be the expectation of, oh, well, I think I'm a max guy. Oh, absolutely, sir. Here's your max deal. Don't even need to call the agent. It's no, we are going to negotiate this, whether it's 99% of the max, or for someone like Ja, probably a lot less of. We're not all the way sure on you, and I think the fans aren't going to jump on and say, oh no, the team should have given them the max. They're going to go, okay, we're going to unfortunately have to side with the billionaires again, going, well, these are the rules that the league made up, so you have to get these puzzle pieces to fit together, and you can't just hand out money willy-nilly.
All right, any other trades you want to get to or NBA news?
Kyle Lowry retired today.
It had to join Kawhi for a day,
I guess.
Oh,
yeah.
Only makes sense.
He one of the all-time grifters, Villanova guy. Yeah. Very, very well liked Raptors. I would assume.
I'm glad it's over. That's all I'll say. Good for you, Kyle Lowry. But I'm glad it's over.
I'm glad not to see him grifting. I think it definitely got bad towards the end. So I think the teams that he played for were just often playing against the Celtics. And so he's not going to get necessarily a warm ovation from me today. But I could see in a few years softening.
Big difference maker. Huge difference maker. That's a ton of credit. For that. Some NBA Cup news. The NBA Cup is moving to a new location. I believe it was in Vegas this past year. Where did we do it? I don't know. Where are we moving?
Yep. It's always been in Vegas. Yes.
Always been in Vegas. So this year we're moving it to Butler. Am I reading that right? Where are we moving this to? This is a college stadium?
Is historic Hinkle Fieldhouse. So yes, that is where Butler plays their basketball games.
Oh, I'm in on this. You think this is cool or not cool?
Why are you in on this? I want to find out that first.
It's an NBA game in an odd place. I think this is an odd game. It should be in an odd place. It doesn't count. We might as well do something weird with it that we couldn't do with any other game. I think you should play with it. This is a weird game that doesn't count, but it's a championship game. Do
you think it should stay here, or do you think it should bounce between Vegas, or it should be somewhere new every year?
Oh, new every year. If we're doing this, new every year.
New every year.
Let this travel.
I mean, there was talk last year that they were entertaining this idea, and you really wanted it to be, I think, somewhere in the ACC. I think you thought that would be fun. I have two thoughts on this. One is the NBA. They love college, and they think, oh, well, Hinkle Fieldhouse, like, that's really popular. We'll get the fans there. It's like, okay, we have to explain this to you again. We have college fans because they love the college. They love college basketball. They don't love you, NBA. So you're going to get NBA fans. And so the fan situation is going to be very similar to how it was in Vegas. Now, Indianapolis, a little more closer to the center of the country. So depending on who goes there, might be a little bit easier. But it is you find out like last minute. And I don't think that the NBA fans are nearly as invested as college fans would be of, okay, we play in a half a week. We're going to figure out all of the logistics of this and we're going to go. So that's kind of like my negative side of this. My positive spin to this is if you were going to pick a spot to have a sort of random NBA game, I think this is a good spot to have it. Indianapolis had the Final Four. They are all business about basketball. I have to imagine when you go to Vegas for the NBA Cup, you're in Vegas and then kind of off to the side, there's this basketball thing going on. Now, for sure, when they're doing this, it's going to be during college basketball season, but I don't think that's going to, conflict as much as just with Vegas and gambling and glitz and glamour. So I think that is going to be good for the NBA because I think Indianapolis is going to take this seriously. They take basketball very seriously. So when you get there, you are going to know, hey, this is basketball and basketball is the focus.
I like it. I still believe that there are more NBA fans than college fans. I think NBA fans will definitely outnumber Butler basketball fans, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I think they'll have it all right time selling tickets. I don't think you have to worry about that. I don't think it has to be college basketball fans that are going to an NBA game. I think it'd just be NBA fans going to see their NBA team like every other NBA game at just a different arena. We just saw everybody travel for this World Cup all over the place here. I don't think this is as important, but I think it could be to some
the
people.
World Cup, the World Cup, 4 years ahead, and at some point, much or maybe not much sooner, but then sooner, you do find out if your team is going or not. Where this is just you have to make the decision kind of last minute if you're going to do this.
It's fine. I think this game's weird, anyways. It's oddly important, and I think this could be an odd thing about it that just adds to it. That of like, what are they doing? It's like, oh, they're doing that. I think that'll be cool. I also think this opens the door to more opportunities. Where else you want to play? You want to play at a baseball stadium in South Beach?
No. I think this is the NBA. I think they have plenty of arenas, and they should just play there, and it's gonna work. And you could try this little thing, but I think they just don't understand. You're trying to go to a college to get a college atmosphere, and that's just not how it works. You can't just put a game there and you get the college atmosphere. Like that's not how it works.
So you think just playing at a college stadium with NBA fans is just a waste then? That's just a flop.
I'm not going to say it's a waste. Like I said, I think it's good to have it in Indianapolis because I think that they like basketball more than a lot of other places, is for sure more than Vegas does.
Man, NBA fans, not only are you outnumbered by Butler basketball fans, but you're also bad fans apparently too. You guys stink. I don't know what to tell you.
Did you watch these NBA Cup games?
I mean, what are we talking to? Yeah, I watched it on 4 screens. All right, what are we talking about?
Well, put the sound on, and you can tell it's just it's goofy, and it doesn't all fit, and it makes sense because these NBA, you're not used to having to travel. You're a fan of the team in the city that you're closest to for the majority of it, and to just do it last minute, it's they're doing something out of the ordinary, and they're trying to make it work. But I don't like that they're just trying to just steal the good ideas from college basketball without putting I feel like any thought into it.
He'd be mad at me later. I'm going to reveal the real reason he doesn't like all this. He's just scared that Cameron could get filled with Knicks fans, and he would have no control over it at all. Like, this is what's going to happen in 2 years. It's just going to be filled with Knicks fans. They travel everywhere. They seem like they're pretty good fans. I think they'll have a good shot at being in the Cup again. They won last year. Maybe they'll repeat. 2-time Cup champ.
I don't. How does that have any impact on me at all?
I don't know. They're going to take over your home base, man. They've been doing that everyone else.
It's 2 different sports.
All right, let's get out of here.
I've gone to many Duke basketball games at MSG. I don't think the Knicks fans are watching it going, "Oh no, there's so many Duke fans there."
Well, there's not more Duke fans than MSG fans. Why are you always the outnumbering weight of all this? There's more NBA fans than Butler fans. There's more Knicks fans than Duke fans. Like, what are we talking about? It's not even close.
I don't think you're really doing an apples to apples comparison here, but I don't. But the amount of other fans doesn't impact me. Like, this seems like a ratings conversation of, oh well, I can't. Well, I think I enjoyed that game, but let me see how many people watched. Oh, okay, now I can reveal. No, I did enjoy that, or if not enough people watched, like, oh no, maybe I didn't enjoy it.
Hey, how many weeks till week 0?
All right, it's like 53 days. So divide that by 7.
Can't wait. Can't wait to talk about small little regional sports and not big international soccer tournaments, that the whole world cares about. Can't wait. 53 days. Anything else for the people out there?
See, you mentioned that. And I told this to you yesterday. You talk about these big international events, but Belgium is the same size as Maryland. And Maryland is like teeny tiny.
It's not just Belgium. It's everyone. It's every country. Every country is watching.
And also, when college football starts, it's not just Maryland. Like, there's a lot of other things. I don't know why you're poo-pooing, football in America where we live.
I'm not poo-pooing where we live. I have no issues with that. I'm just very excited that the rest of the world also cares about something with me. It's just exciting. I don't know how else to sell it.
I really tried. I watched some of the games. I watched most of the USA games. I was watching most of the knockout. I watched with international fans, and then I'm yesterday. For sure the USA just getting shellacked was just kind of the end. It's just like I can only try so many times. Where there's other people that don't like basketball, and I'll never understand it. But I can't. I tried. That's all I can do.
We'll be back. Make sure you subscribe. Little column A, little column B. You can follow Zach on his X account, which is
Wicked Z-Man 24.
And make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be back. I think we're back to Monday. Monday?
Yep. Back on track.
We'll be back.
Little column A, little column B.